Public Works Committee to order. Looks like we do have a quorum. I think two of them are, I know Lonnie's on his way. Is everybody else? Well, I think Allen's on his way too.
Mr. Harmon is on his way.
Yeah. If you would review the minutes from the February 9th meeting, it's on the back of the agenda there. I'd entertain a motion to approve. You don't see any additions or corrections need to be added? I know it's a lot there to read. Appreciate Mr. Gregory for taking good minutes. Yeah, that's good.
Very thorough.
Yep.
I would like in the last sentence where, of the first paragraph page here, where it says, Billy noted that the pool cost, lost around $20K last year. I also noted in that $20K loss, there was an $8,000 pump, that had to be paid for, so that was like a one-time cost. So it really was going to be one of the better years of the pool last year, just the pump hit us. I would like to see that added into that sentence.
Great job.
I believe it was roughly $8,000 we paid for that pump last year.
I think so. It may have been just a hair more than that. I won't say it was 88, but now it could be a lot.
I had the paperwork last week with me, but I didn't bring it from him.
Just being round numbers, because the 20K is not a full number, it's a round number. There we go.
I can make that.
Other than that, motion to approve the minutes as written.
We've got a motion to approve the minutes to add that, what Mr. Gully stated about the 8,000 for the pool pump last year. I have a second. Mr. Presley, second. Any more discussion on it? All in favor say aye. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to our next, number 3, discussion items. The first thing we're discussing is solid waste. Mr. Salee.
Okay, this guy behind me is Tracy Bray. He's one of my drivers. He's been with us 5 years now. We're starting to appoint some people in-house to kind of help me run these things. I know Joe was here at the last meeting. We talked about Joe doing the park. Tracy's got a good rapport with the drivers and the convenience center employees. We've already talked to them, and they're fine with it. Nobody had any complaints or anything. If y'all have any questions for him, I mean, I trust him with my life, so if there's any concerns or questions about it.
So moving up to assistant supervisor in this case.
Yes.
Is that a new position or is that a position that's already?
Well, he'll be a driver, just kind of a lead driver, assistant supervisor. It's gonna have to be, it'll be a little more bump in pay. He's also the one that comes in on the weekends and empties the cans at the convenience center, does anything that needs to be done. I know there's a couple of things floating around online that we may be able to talk about tonight and get that addressed as well. Yeah, it's, I don't think I would like to hire people that we just don't know without, I mean, he knows, he's been here 5 years. He's ran the routes, he knows the trucks. He was with me today, he looked at my hands, there's still remnants of all day today putting the air compressor on the truck, not an AC compressor, an air compressor. Without the air, it don't move, the brakes are locked. And it's been at the Smith County landfill, it's been down all week, it's been in Smith County landfill for the last 2 days. So we finally got it up and going, got it back to the shop at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So it's back and running. That's the one we're waiting on a new truck for, which is further down the line on the items here. But that's him. If y'all have any questions for him, feel free.
You got the money in your budget for that increase in pay?
I've talked to him, and we're not gonna put that in place until budget. He's willing to wait, so, you know, he's work in progress.
Understood.
I think he was getting to the point, Cliff's got so much on him, he did need an assistant really tight under him.
I like the plan. I appreciate that you can do it in-house and people that already trust the individual.
Right.
It's always a move.
I know Stephen wanted to try to find people, maybe hire outside or maybe some people appointed inside. But the way he talked, he wanted me to turn loose of some of the departments and just like to leave it, and I can't do that. I like being busy and I like to work, so, you know, as long as I can, that's what we're gonna do. Till y'all tell me to go home, I get.
I appreciate what you're doing. I like the move.
Anything else we need to, any questions for Mr. Bragg, or? If not, we'll move on to number 2, compactor at convenience center.
I don't know if y'all been up there this weekend or not, or this week. We've got the asphalt's been cut out. Johnny Hawkins just came up and done the footer. He asked me what we paid to have the last one for it. He's gonna try to charge me the same money, but that's been 5 years ago. Concrete's gone up, labor's gone up, so he's expecting to be right about the same. We had to buy more metal to put in the concrete this time than what we normally buy. Usually I've got something saved up or pulled out of a roll-off or something. The first one, we used railroad tracks, and then we bought and saved a little bit of metal to do the last 2, but this one's, it may be a little bit more expensive. Metal's high, and we didn't have anything to put in the place of it, so we had to purchase the 2 pieces that go in there. They're in the concrete just so the wheels of the roll-off, when they hit, it don't start beating the concrete and beating it out. As soon as we have that problem when the winter gets here, then we've got cracks and everything else, so we use that metal. The lines have been run. I've talked to brother about doing the electrical. Everything's a go.
I noticed you have a new entrance or exit. You're gonna change the flow of traffic.
Yeah, we're I'm sorry, I'm gonna be like this all night. But we're gonna try to just do a one-way in there because the traffic flow down at the lower end is just, it's awful. So, you know, on busy days, it's hard to get in and out of there, and if we can have them come in at the bottom and go out at the top, most of the traffic comes from that side of town anyway. So, we've already got the gates. Charlie Lyons out at Tennessee Central had some old gates that the prison left behind when they were actually doing the construction work. They had the gates, they had stuff locked up out there. They're in good shape, so we're gonna use those. I gotta get a little bit of material to get them in the ground, but soon we're gonna open that. When that compactor opens up, we hope to have the gates in place.
We need signage or anything of that nature? You already got planned?
Yeah, we're gonna have some do not enter signs on that upper end, and we will restripe and re-letter the asphalt too.
Any more questions or any discussion on this? If not, we'll move on to number 3 under A, roll-off rentals.
We, a few months back, we voted to raise the fees of roll-off. I think it was $345 from $150. And I've ran into a little bit of a hiccup with that. I've got some contractors here in town that are tearing houses down, and it's gonna kill them to pay this $350 because we're setting it and hauling it 5, 6, 7 times a day. So I talked to them, they wanna know if we can just do the 150 because it's not really a rental for a 2-week period, it's just a 1-day deal. I just want y'all's thoughts on that. You know, like I said, it's something they can all pass on to the customers, but I've been asked to ask, I'm asking.
To me, on that question there, what's it cost us to dump that?
They still pay the tonnage.
So they pay per tonnage already?
Yeah, they'll be paying the tonnage. It'll just be $150 every time we set it back that day instead of $350. Or whatever y'all wanna talk about. I mean, that's.
When was it raised to 345 or did you say 345?
It's been a while. It's probably
Sometime last year.
Yeah, it was last year. It hadn't been that long ago.
No.
Seems like 345 is steep, but 150 seems cheap to have to make it forward.
Yeah.
What is it?
Is that 345 like every time they come get one?
plus the tonnage.
You're saying if they are tearing down a house and they fill it up, you go get it, take it, dump it, and take it right back.
Yeah.
345.
Do we consider doing but like let them for okay, somebody's tearing down a house, how long is it gonna take and how many, do a cost and do a rental for a set period of time?
Well, it don't take that much time, but usually what'll happen, and it hadn't happened since we've raised the rates, because, and there is a lot of houses in town that need to be tore down. I know, Mr. Satterfield's wanting that one tore down on the corner of the school property. And I'm waiting on that one. There's 2 on East Main that need to be tore down. We're waiting on those 2, and then I've got a couple more that I'm not sure about yet. But, when it happens, we'll stage 2, we'll have 2 cans sitting there with the trucks with them. They load the trucks. One, he takes off as they're loading the other one, and they just run back to back to back. So it takes them 5 hours, 6 hours to do it. But it happens in just a matter of hours. It don't sit there for any amount of time.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking is, could we say the 345 for like a day, or for a day, or like a 2-day period, or we're still charging tonnage, but that rental would be I guess a one-time per use as opposed to per, every time you're making a run, or is that too complicated to try that?
You talking about just for the first set? Because we'll be there at 7 in the morning with one truck, and at 7:30 the other truck will show up. And I mean, that's those 2 right there are gonna be 345 plus tonnage. And then when we come back, it's $150 plus tonnage, $150 plus tonnage, however many trips we make.
Oh, right now it's 345 plus tonnage.
There's 2 tons included in that.
Okay.
But a house, we get 6, 7, 8 tons in a house, in a load.
So there's 2 tons already in that 345. My question, where are we taking that to dump?
Smith County.
So what's that turnaround time?
If it's just class 3 and we're in and out of there, back in usually less than an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. Hours usually a turn.
So it has a cost of an employee for that X amount of time. It has a cost of mileage, fuel, truck wear and tear. To me on that one, before we make any changes, I would like to see any recommendations. I'd like to see what true costs are involved in each run. And let's make it, I know it's not gonna be, you can't get exact because you may be going from this side of town or a different area of town at different times for that piece, but if we're talking, it's gonna cost more to go from 231 to Smith County than it is gonna cost to go from middle of town to Smith County. I realize that, but before we make a change there, I want to know what it's costing us.
Okay.
Because part of that was said that those roll-offs were costing. If I remember those conversations right, I was trying to really come back to those places. I believe it was presented to us that it was really costing us money at 150 to set that piece at that time.
To let it set, at that time, it was setting for 150 for a month. So we bumped the money up to 345. It's right in there. I'm pretty sure it's 345 for 2 weeks.
If it sits there 2 weeks.
If it sits there 2 weeks. Most people take their full 2 weeks.
So what we're really talking about here is if you're changing the price, if you're moving it more than once in that 2 week period.
No, this is gonna be for those house tear downs where we just get in and knock it out.
Just for house tear downs.
That's it. Somebody calls and says, I need it for today, and they got a load, that's $345. That's what I'm talking about. The first time we set it, it's gonna be the full fee,
And then each additional time after there,
150.
I get what you're asking for now. I'd like to see some numbers on what it would cost us what's it cost us to run that truck to Carthage and back?
Yeah.
what I'd like to see before we make that.
I'll get together, I mean, I know I'm not losing money at it, we're not making a lot, but the goal is not to make a killing off of it, we're trying to get the county cleaned up as well. And
Yes, sir.
that's a big part of this deal.
Yes, sir.
Why was it raised from 150 to 345? Because he was losing money at that, or why was it
For
raised?
it, that, and it's sitting for a month,
Okay.
you know, and everybody around us was charging that.
Yeah.
Everybody around us has got to deal with Smith County at $100 a ton, we got to deal with Smith County at 37.
For a couple of years.
Well, I've made some phone calls.
So first set will be 345, and then you wanna talk about each additional set at 150 just for house tear downs.
Whatever y'all say, if you don't like 150, you want 200.
No, I just wanna know what the numbers are that we're talking about.
Right. Well, that's what it used to be, that's the only reason that number was brought up.
I didn't realize we were doing it like every time we, I guess, got multiple drops on the same job. I just thought we were doing, take it there one time for one job and,
The
okay.
more we can
that
really
makes sense
do
what you're
this,
saying.
the less we see in the convenience centers.
Oh, certainly.
And
Yes,
then we
sir.
haul it for free
Yes, sir.
and pay the weight on it.
So really, you're saving.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just use Lewis as an example. Lewis is not gonna load it on a trailer and bring it to me, you know, but there's guys that do it. They tear down buildings, bring it to me, they clean out a house and bring it to me, and we don't catch them all. When we do catch them, we send them to Smith County. That's why there's no dump trailers allowed in there, you know, they've already got it loaded on a reasonable trailer and easy to unload. The best thing they can do is take it over and let them pay the tonnage on it. It's not good for us.
That's, to me, I get what you're saying, but there's not a lot of those guys gonna be coming to us at our convenience center because of the amount of work it takes to bring it there, unload it.
Oh, no, I
So
understand.
We're really talking about a contractor here is what we're talking about.
Yep.
And they're gonna pass that cost on. That's straight up.
Do y'all want to bring this up at our next meeting, let him try to get a figure like you was wanting some figures, what it would cost, or y'all want to recommend something tonight?
I think I agree with Landon. I'd like to see what the figures are before making this make a decision on that.
All right,
Do
is
you,
that,
do you think there's a chance you're gonna lose contractors on this? I mean, it sounds like we're charging them
I'm
37.
losing them now, but I mean, it's no sweat on my back. We don't have drivers to do the work anyway.
There's the next question I was gonna ask. So it saves you a driver.
We'll be doing something, you know.
Yeah.
But that, you know, we've got a new driver in place. He's eager to work. We replaced one that's been missing quite a bit. We've got a new one in place now, and I feel like we'll stay caught up. My goal is to keep the county, you know, get it as clean as we can get it. The more of these houses we can get tore down, the fewer they'll burn and bury.
Are you giving them any incentive to clean up houses and stuff that's in disrepair? I mean, it's gonna make the county look bad.
so we'll just, move on from this, and maybe next meeting we have, try to come up with some figures they was asking for Cliff about what
Yes,
it's.
sir. We'll run a load, time it. We'll fill the truck up when we leave here and fill the truck up when we get back. We'll have an estimate on the gallon. Wear and tear on tires and stuff, you can just figure that out. There's calculators all over the internet, you can figure that kind of stuff. So we'll get some numbers together.
All righty.
As well as employee being,
Well, that's the
Disposed for an
hourly-
hour.
Yeah, that's the hourly deal.
well, but they're being disposed for now. They're off on another task.
Let me ask a question, because time is money and month is a month. As mayor, my attitude is that anytime you can accommodate the public or freeze the skids to get something done, you wanna do that. I bet you Cliff would calculate in his head when it's going, what the cost is around the ballpark.
Oh, yeah. I'd say $75, be my guess.
But if you can make it easier for them to use that thing and clean up, you know, I think you can go ahead and decide that would be good.
Mayor, we usually pretty good agreements, but on this one, I see a difference here. We're not to our public, we're to contractors here on this case. So this is not trying to help somebody that's tearing down their home, it's helping a contractor that's tearing down a piece of property. I'd like to see some numbers on that. But I do see what you're saying. Maybe we can call it Public Works
In a week or two,
time
yeah.
sooner to get things, but it takes time, you're exactly right. When you're using a truck, it seems like that could be a cost here. I don't want us to incur a cost at the expense of a contractor making more money. Sounds like we're already saving them at $37 a ton, we're charging them to dump it as well, versus $100 a ton that others are having to pay to go there. So just a thought. If you can get us some numbers,
Yes, sir. I
work
got it wrote
session,
down. We're
we
gonna
can
get
have a discussion there. We can open it up at work session. And have that discussion there.
Can you can have us figured by our work session?
Yes, sir.
Is everybody in agreement with that? All right, let's move on to item B under 3, buildings. The first thing under buildings is the bell tower.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna make it. The bell tower is, I guess y'all have all seen, it's back where it needs to be in its place. The bell's missing, and what we've done is taken the cradle for the bell and all the parts that go with it, except for the bell's been taken to a blast from the past in Lebanon, Tennessee. They're gonna sandblast it, and I asked him about bluing it. It's a black oxidizing instead of a blue like a gun, it'd be black. He said that a satin black finish powder coat would look better on it and last longer, so that's what he's gonna do. He charged $150 to sandblast it, and $100 to powder coat it. So I've sent him a picture of the cradle and the bracket holding the bell. He sent me $150. When we got down to it, we went ahead and took the bell completely apart. So there was a few more pieces in the truck when I got there. So he may go up some, and he said he's gonna try to keep it where it was. I don't think it'll be over $300 for the whole thing. So as we get it back, we'll get it back on the tower.
Is there any more discussion on this? Anybody got any questions?
I appreciate what you're doing with that bell tower, man. Thank you for the effort.
Yes, sir. Thing we do is take county money.
I believe that 100%.
Courthouse, this last storm blew a couple of the windows out of the third story. We've, got to get some more glass cut. Somebody threw a rock through the window 2 weeks ago. We had to get glass for that cut in the front. It wasn't wavy glass. I'm pretty sure what we lost up on the top in the third floor was probably wavy glass. I hadn't looked at it, been up there to look at it. I gotta get some more pieces cut. I don't know if my maintenance guy got them measured today or not. We hadn't had any rain or water coming into them, so it's not hurting anything. He may have went up there and sealed them up today. I don't know. He's been busy all day in the park. We'll get down to that in a minute. But, we're losing glass at a pretty good rate. We had some blowout last year. We're gonna have more blowout because the glazing on all the windows are failing. To be a part of the historical part of that courthouse, y'all wanna keep it on the, whatever they call it, those windows have to be glazed and not caulked. I'm not a glazer, I'm a caulker. Whatever y'all wanna do, I mean, it's an historical, I don't remember what it's called. I knew what it was when I was talking to Amy yesterday, but I don't remember now.
What's the cost for getting it glazed versus getting?
Well, the bad thing about getting them glazed, you may still be on the historical committee, but your HVAC system's not gonna work right. Cause you can see the air coming through those windows.
I know we talked windows, it's been over 4 years ago now for the courthouse, and those were upwards of $250,000 at that time in the quote to replace all the windows in the courthouse because they had to be historically credited back to similar pieces. That was the best quote we found. So Um,
I mean, I'm all for it being a historic building, but if it's gonna cost us a buku of money to do it one way versus, I don't know, but is it worth?
I bet it's probably less than half price to have just somebody come put windows in.
Is the historic designation really worth that much to us? I hate to say that, I mean, I'm a history buff, but I gotta ask, is it worth it?
Well, it's still the old courthouse. I mean, there's, people have to upgrade all the time. There's so many things that we're gonna have to do to keep it on that registry. The glass, the way the flooring is, and everything has to be done a certain way to stay on it. I'm surprised the HVAC system hasn't messed that up, but.
Mayor, do you have any input or?
I'm investigating the historical, the National Trust for Historical Preservation. There's money there. We're trying to get to the right people as far as the board of schools is concerned, but there is money available if you know how to go after it. Mark Dudney works for the district that Cook was in, and he was gonna try to get a release from his supervisor to help me on some projects up here, and I'm having lunch with him in a couple of weeks to try to push that a little bit, but there is money for those buildings, it's just pursue it. And we're trying to do that.
We had a guy come look, because we wanted to replace the windows, on the sections that had been added on both sides of the building. He said we couldn't change those windows. Y'all been in that lower courtroom, when somebody drives by, they just rattle and shake.
Yeah.
If they move like that, you can literally feel the air coming through them, so the HVAC system's never gonna be sufficient. In my opinion, I'm not an HVAC guy.
and it's gonna cost you because you're losing
Oh, absolutely.
energy.
There are manufacturers that make period correct replacement windows that have that sort of wave in them and stuff. I've got a family member and a couple of close friends that live in what they call the quote unquote hysterical district of a major city, and they can't do anything without getting an approval for it. But with that, for their homes, they get grant money and stuff for it, so. I'm honest, to be honest with you, I wasn't aware of the fact that the courthouse itself wasn't already on the National Historic Registry. It is?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at removing it from?
No, we're looking at making the improvements in such a way that it maintains its historical
Yeah.
registry.
I think it's all, the aesthetics of the outside is what they're mostly concerned with more than anything.
That's why I mentioned, I don't ever remember a conversation about any grants, but I know it was $250,000, that was pushed around multiple times. We only found two, if memory serves me, we found two companies that were willing to give a bid for that historical. They would be modern windows, but in the historical period, correct. But it was a large number at that time for
It
windows.
is, and the windows have that wave in them that the old glass has.
However, if there's grants, that would be great to know. Grants were never mentioned in that discussion.
I've heard grant talk, so.
I humbly apologize for being a little late. I was working in Murray County today.
Well, I think we should be looking at that discussion, because we've just put in $800 and some change thousand worth of HVAC. We need it to work correctly and be efficient, because it's still gonna have an energy cost to us. Maybe that's something we can move forward. I don't know where the best, I guess this is Public Works' buildings as well, so that'd be the same committee that looked at windows in the past. Where do we need to start looking for grants? What was that grant,
It's
right?
a matter of getting the door cracked with the National Trust.
So if it's already on
Once
the
you
register,
once you get in and know who you're dealing with and who you go to, and that's what I'm working on. But, you know, it's at the speed of government.
yes, sir. Well put. So if we're looking at already trying to work on one piece, maybe we can allow that to branch us into this next conversation later.
So what we gotta do right now to create the windows that are missing?
That's what I mean, that was what I was, I mean, what's the,
I'm sorry.
What we gotta do is fix it right now.
Oh, we fixed the one in the front the other day for $24. I go to Lowe's, get a piece of glass, and we put it in. Conquer. And we did glaze that one. Once I realized what we needed to do, we glazed that one. But I can't be 35, 40 feet up in the air on a ladder shaking, put glaze. I'm gonna talk to my butt back.
So the ones on the third floor, we're gonna
Yes, they're on the
have
back, on River Street side. If you're coming down River Street, you can see it, or if you'll come around the back of the courthouse, you can look up and see it up in it's actually in the attic is where it's at. So it's above upstairs courtroom. It's in those windows that have the round top. The round top, the half moons didn't blow out. It's the one right below it, the square pane right below it.
So currently you have a plan that you can fix it for a little bit, it's just.
Yes, sir.
Situation is glazed, is called not glazed.
Yes, sir. We'll try to glaze them. The first way, I've got a big ladder at the house. And if we can get on that roof back there and get that 13-foot ladder mount up there and reach them, and we can glaze them comfortably, then we'll glaze them. I want to be right, you know, in case we do have to keep them.
What would it cost you to rent a bucket truck to possibly be a little safer than a ladder 40 foot off the ground?
Well, I mean, it'll just be 15, because we're gonna be on that roof. We'd have to rent some kind of skyjack or something. I don't know if we could rent a bucket truck.
Understood. But you got a plan in for now, and we can look at going forward with replacements.
I just hope it wasn't the wavy glass, you know, that's not good for the registry, is what I've been told.
You mean if we remove wavy glass and go straight, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll get in trouble.
Do you have a way to purchase that wavy glass?
You can't make what they make.
There's a company.
They make it now, but it does not look like what we have in that courthouse. What we have in that courthouse is the real deal. And they've tried to remake it, make it look identical, and they can't. They can get close. They can get wavy
I
glass.
just texted my brother that lives in a historical district in a house that's 150-something years old, or 160 years old. And he told me there's a company called Colby, Kolbe, that makes windows and doors that are period correct that the hysterical registry will actually allow you to use. I can't attest to what they look like compared to the other, but they're ones that the historical register will allow you to use.
Yeah, that's the registry guy that came up from wherever he came up from. So I'm not sure where he came from, but he told us that. He's the one that told me that, so.
So at this point, we've got a hole in a courthouse that needs to be patched with something.
Yeah, we'll get that. That's no problem.
Okay.
But the glaze is failing on all the windows is the problem. So this is gonna continue to happen.
That's why it's blowing out, you're saying?
Yeah, the glaze is failing.
well, you want to just go ahead and patch the windows and maybe just let the mayor find out a little bit more about the group.
It won't be but $50 for the glass. I mean, we'll just put glass back in them. Birds are starting to nest. We don't need, we'll get them fixed either tomorrow or the first of the week.
But your worry right now is you're having this happen pretty regular because you're saying the glaze is failing.
It could start, I mean, we're seeing the glaze failing all around the building.
Sounds like we need to look at two options here. Reglazing what we've got now, what would it cost to while we're waiting on windows to come? So that they would be secured at this point.
Yeah.
What might that? Looks like we've got two routes we need to start looking.
Yep.
Upkeep of a historical building is gonna be
It's upkeep of the historical building.
upkeep.
My brother found that out when he bought a house in Heron Morton Place up in Indianapolis. He said, I don't know why we did that. We can't get his wife out of there. She loves that.
That's what I'm asking you, is that,
Or she loves the house more than him.
yeah, no, it's like I said, I love the historic designation, but I guess, I'm asking this, at what point is it, do we say the historic designation just isn't worth the cost?
You don't wanna lose that.
Okay.
You don't wanna lose that.
Okay.
Because there's grant money out there that we wouldn't, otherwise would not have access to.
Okay.
So what was the grant money be used for, to do the glazing that we need?
My brother got grant money to replace the siding on his house with hardy board that looked like the lap board that they put on that house when it was built in 18 whatever.
Sounds like we're on the right track there, we just need to make it work.
But yeah, it's out there.
We should start.
He's gonna look at it.
You know, at some point in time, we probably need to look at a full-time grant writer, because they'll pay for themselves.
100%.
And, Amy is taking on more and more and more, and she, unfortunately, when the state comes through with a grant, first thing they do is they push all the administration to the county. And she's administering 3 or 4 grants now, so I think it would be well to look into a full-time grant writer. And they can do it virtually, they don't have to have an office here, they can do all this from wherever they are.
Yeah, they operate on a retainer.
So, coming into the next budget, I really want to look at that, because it'll pay for itself.
Absolutely.
Would it be better to have us retaining a company that does that, or to hire one in-house?
Sometimes a person will just have a company, they'll be writing grants for a number of different people.
A lot of them are freelance, college professors and different things and they go through a referral agency that each one of those guys has an area of expertise. And so they're kind of like an attorney, they're on a retainer. It's much cheaper to retain them and use them as needed, opposed to putting somebody on salary and having to put them in
And it's
brick and mortar in an office.
someone who does it all the time.
Right.
It's not like bringing in somebody and hope they're good.
Right.
That's what all these people do, so.
Let's move on from this, we'll go ahead and get the windows done, and then we'll,
Yes, sir.
bring her, is that fine, let's move on. Another thing on the courthouse, what about our, when are we gonna get to move in, or about the central, the heat and air, where we stand on that?
The drain's been in there all week, and, they're moving forward, it's looking better. Still got a long way to go. I mean, I couldn't give you a date, they can't give me a date, so. I don't know. I've been in and out with them all week long, and things are looking better. They've started doing a little bit of cleaning, but, they moved all the benches upstairs from one side of the room to the other, and then back to the other side, putting those vents in the ceiling. And the floor, those floors were scratched all to pieces, which they were scratched a little bit before this, but there's gouges in them now. I mean, it's just something you have to walk through and see to believe. So the other floors downstairs is got cardboard taped all over it, so we won't know till we get all that taken up to see what's been, damaged underneath it, where they've dropped stuff and scooted stuff around. The ones we had set up for Mr. Paxton, those rooms were completed and move-in ready, and we'll have to start over. We've got to repaint. Some of the ceiling tile have been jacked up a little bit. The floors are scratched all to pieces in there. I mean, they really made a mess in there. In the downstairs courtroom, we've taken all the bench out. I don't know if any of y'all been in there and seen that. We've completely cleaned that room out. It's just a big open room now. But that room, Shelley's old office, and the hallway going into the downstairs courtroom is just plywood right now. We're not gonna do hardwood until they're gone. So hopefully, I've got the guys at Elmore that did the last bit for us, or did the hallway, the big hallway, and did Mr. Paxton's office. He's ready to go, but the hardwood has to sit for 2 to 3 weeks to get acclimated to the climate before they lay it. Right now, we don't have a climate. We get 40-degree nights and 70-degree days, and it's wet. The floors are starting to buckle now, not bowing, but we gotta get this air conditioner going. That's all there is to it. They plugged some heaters into the bathrooms, keep the water from freezing, busting. The outlet at the back door going into the men's restroom caught on fire at the wall, so we gotta rerun some wire, put a new outlet in there. Run a big long extension cord. Sorry, heater. Lucky we didn't burn the courthouse down.
So are we having any more response from Train about trying to take, I mean,
Well, they're moving
responsibility?
forward. Like I said, they started cleaning upstairs. There's a lot of the stuff that's been picked up and moved out. Everything's covered in dust still. Matt assured me they're gonna do a thorough cleaning, and whatever needs to be repaired or replaced will be done on exit. So, I mean, it's just a wait and see. You know, they're holding themselves accountable. They're saying they're doing what they can, and I'm seeing movement. So, you know, last time we had a meeting, the concern was there was just no movement. Those guys left in November, and we didn't get anybody back till about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, when the electrical contractors started coming back. So,
With that said, have they moved in any way with any inspections of any type?
not that I know of. Told me they didn't need an inspection from who? Electrical?
Electrical, building, I mean, we're not gonna,
Told me they didn't need a permit. But, I've talked to some people that assured me that they did.
it's gonna be a while.
I don't know if he's talked to them or what.
Understood.
You know him better than I do.
It sounds like they've gone in with pretty much a wrecking ball.
It did look like it. I mean, it's still a mess, but it looks a whole lot better than it did. The floors are starting to get cleaned up, just swept dirt. I mean, they're still a mess, but they took a lot of trash off. They've got a lot of trash picked up and laying in bags, contractor bags downstairs, ready to haul out. I don't know what they're doing with it. I've turned them away at the convenience center because they, you know, trash haul off should have been included in that bid.
I think it wasn't bid.
Yeah, see, they keep slipping it up every time I catch them, I send them back out with it.
With that mentioned, what, have we gotten any further, before we get everything cleaned up and we're to that point, have we gotten any further with removing the boiler from
No,
the basement?
it's still sitting there.
That removal was part of that contract, and so we don't wanna be sitting here with new floors and then start back.
Well, it'll have to come up out the basement steps. It's all concrete. I mean, they couldn't hurt anything down there except for bumping the new lines and stuff that they've already ran when they try to come out with it, so.
Sounds like REMA's gonna end up shouldering the brunt of this due by the sins of their subs on this.
Train, yeah.
Or Train, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
the Train, yeah. It's their subs that's gonna be accountable to them. They employ them,
Yeah, and we paid full upfront.
that's right. And so liabilities on them, then they gotta recoup from their subs.
At some point, so there need to be a lot of photographs taken, so our legal team can.
We got pictures. We
Before and
got a
after.
lot of pictures.
Yeah, if y'all got pictures before and after, it's a no-brainer.
I hope there's a lot of befores.
Seems like we bring this up every month and it's just, it ain't the same, no progress. It seems like it's something like, I mean, we finally got ball field lights up. I was glad to see that. We've been talking about that for,
They're moving. I feel like they're at least making a show now. Where, you know, like I said, we went from November to February without seeing anything. That's nerve-wracking.
They set the air handlers, right, the fresh air.
Yeah,
Those
everything,
pieces came
as
in.
far as I know, according to the email, everything is here now. They're just getting it in place and getting it plugged in. So it'll take days to pull the vacuum on all that stuff, and who knows how many leaks, because they did all the soldering joints and stuff.
all right, let's move on to the number 3 here, the administrative building.
Well, we've started on Rita's mess over there. Once we started moving some of the front of the boxes, between the tellers and stuff that she wanted moved, there's holes in the countertop that where previous stuff had been ran. Her wiring guy that's doing all the stuff for her computers and printers and stuff, he needs all that put back but it's all in, it's just not gonna work the way it is, so we've reached out to a couple of the cabinet guys here to come by and get some measurements and see what it costs to just put a new countertop either on that existing counter, just pull the laminate, or maybe they can glue down on it, I don't know anything about it. But, as soon as we can get some bids on that, Rita's gonna try to get her a countertop picked out, we'll get that put on. Then we'll get her wired and get her everything moved in over there. The water department's been gone for quite a while. There's another little construction project that's gonna take place in the mayor's office, but it's gonna be a little while out. We'll get it done as soon as we can. It's us, and we're doing it on a rainy day, you know, type deal. So we were in there last week when it rained. I don't know if y'all been by and paid attention, but the signs blew out of the front again, and it damaged the frame considerably this time. We saved one of the signs, but the other one busted all to pieces, and it done some damage to some of the employees' cars. Amy's taking care of that on the insurance, and then the sign will be turned in on insurance too. I don't know if y'all are interested in going back with something similar to that, or if you want a read sign like the bank has it, you know, maybe y'all can put your meetings and stuff on, or just a smaller sign that the wind's not gonna tear all to pieces. Would be something you ought to talk about.
That's something probably that would be good. I mean, I don't know what the cost.
I'm gonna get some numbers together. So, we paid a lot of money for those two signs that were up there. I can't remember exactly how much. I'm gonna have to look it up and see, but I really don't wanna go through that again, especially put it back in that old frame. It was in the thousands that we paid for those two signs.
It would be good to get a digital one though, where you sketch,
Yeah.
put the meetings and where people,
And it don't have to be a great big one, you know. We're starting to price one for the health department out here on East Main. I've got my finger on the pulse of that too, so, it'll be a lot bigger than what we're shooting to get. I imagine if I get some numbers from those guys, then I'll get some stuff together, you know. I'll take a look.
is there anything else we need to discuss on that, on administrative building? Anybody got any questions? I like to put one on there under that too. They say you've moved over to the health department, or the old health department is
The old
yours.
health department, yeah.
Can you give us an update on that building, or is it just you there, or what kind
Well-
of shape's that building in? Or-
We've got, 2/3 of it. And when, you know, the old, clinic moved out because of the mold. What that is the chimney up on top is leaking real bad, water's running down in it. And we've got it all dried out, cleaned out, and cleaned up. We gotta tear that chimney down, put a patch on the roof. It's on the back side of the burner because we've got so many other things going on. But we've got some park storage in there. Some of the stuff like these banners you see down in town, they've just been in a box up at the shop, collecting dust. And, you know, they got dirt dauber nest in them and stuff like that. So we're cleaning all that up and bringing it and putting it in the building. A lot of park supplies, some cleaning supplies, toilet paper and paper towel, different kinds of flags. The maintenance guy, Danny's got a lot of his, materials in there, just pipe fittings, tape, anything, you know, that we need in, out of the weather and kind of put up just for safekeeping. There's one office in there, a couple kitchens. I guess they were the old, offices where they seen patients, I would assume. It's not a kitchen, it's got a sink in it, cabin. Some bathrooms. Then we've got the big front lobby that we're really not using. We got a table like this in it, some of us gather for lunch. We've got a new park. You know, Joe, I think we had her hired, the lady at the last meeting. Young lady we hired to do in the park. She's got a truck there. She starts there in the morning, so she lives right up the road. She walks there and gets in the truck and gets started in town. She has her lunch and stuff there. But yeah, we're in there if y'all want to come by sometime. Be glad to see you.
So who's taking the old spot at the admin building?
Tracy's staying where she's at. Amy's needing a little bit bigger spot, and then we're needing some more storage. One thing y'all probably not aware of is all of our county records are being stored in that metal building out behind the admin building. It's not insulated, it's not climate controlled, so We got water dripping from the ceilings. There's a lot of stuff out there that really don't need to be destroyed yet. Most of it's the water department stuff, so it's not our concern, but we do have several boxes of records out there that I would like to see put in the building. We talked about moving them upstairs into the attic of the admin building, but those steps are like 18 inches wide, and it's just a nightmare to try to get up and down. Try to put those big heavy boxes upstairs, so we'll have a little more room in the admin building. I don't feel kicked out or pushed out. So, like, I'm always on the road, you know, I'm back and forth between here and there. We're doing different jobs, I'm running to get parts or whatever.
Would it be better for Tracy to move down there with you or stay up there? I mean, does she need to be?
She takes a lot of billing, for different people. She does POs for the entire county. And, you know, she does a lot of things other than just public works. She does a little bit, quite a bit for the mayor's office as well, so I don't mind her staying there. She'd be there by herself all the time. I don't know, she's welcome down there. She's got a key to the place, but she'd probably be better fit where she's at.
Has anybody got any more questions on that? I just know that's something that, I just heard about you and moved down there and I was gonna ask you about that. So, I mean, that's, just sort of the roof and everything, I mean, the building is
It's sound.
sound shape.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need a roof replaced?
It don't leak anywhere but right there around that chimney. It just runs down and that used to be a coal furnace back there in the back where that chimney comes in, and it's just, now it's part of the building where the stove and everything's gone. So it don't have anywhere to go but into the bottom. It seeps through the concrete and the mortar and finds its way into those two rooms there, there's two small rooms back there. That's where it finds its way to.
All righty, we'll move right along to parks and ball field lights.
All feel like. Wayne called me today, they're on, I think he said there was two on two poles that are not burning. Don't we get that problem right there?
Yeah,
They're working on it.
they're not fixed yet, but
They're not aimed, they're gonna come down next week and start aiming them, we'll get them, you know, a lot of the poles are not where they were initially put by the engineers, because there's sewer lines in certain areas, and the groves hit a sewer line, they hit a water line. One of the poles was just in a bad spot altogether, and they realized, I think the engineers changed their mind on one of them, but they're up and burning. I mean, everything looks good. Like I was telling, a little bit before the meeting, we've got some dress work to do over there and clean up some of the ditches and stuff like that, but it's minimal now. We've got it, we're in the short road. I'm glad we're starting to wrap this one up.
So Little League and stuff can't practice over there now.
Yes, sir.
and-
there's enough light over there.
But I mean, there's nothing around the outside, everything's cleaned up, I mean, they can,
Yeah,
pretty good shape,
yeah.
No safety hazards?
no safety hazards, no.
I mean,
Man,
there's gonna be little divots in all these ditches. We dug 3,000 feet of trench work over there. There's gonna be little divots where it's rained and it's settled and stuff like that. And we're filling them as we find them, but we still got a long way to go. This truck's pulled us away for most of this week. I've had two guys over there, and we were there earlier. I was there almost all day yesterday on the Bobcat trying to do some dress work. But, we've been on this truck trying to get it going. I mean, this truck services the schools, the hospital, everything in every business in Hartsville. So we've got nearly 100 cans out in the county that truck services. It's wore slap out. I mean, it's pushing 300,000 miles. It's had it.
has anybody got any questions for him on the parks and the new ball field lights?
I think the one mentioned from the Little League was the one pole that's no longer in line with the fence, which is on what they call field one, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a plan for how we're gonna put some safety around that pole to ensure students don't, or players don't run into that pole? I know it's in the out of bounds area, but it's more in the field than it.
There's actually two right there.
There's two.
There's two
He
poles
mentioned
there.
one, I remember, but
They're probably 4 foot into the field.
that's,
I mean, we can build a chain link fence around them, then they're gonna build them in there all the time, get them balls out.
I understand that, but if
We
they're
put a
gonna
gate
get
on
on
the
the chain.
far end of it, they can still get in there and get the balls, I guess. We did that for the air conditioner unit. And we can do whatever.
I think it'd be in our best interest for a player to run into a chain link fence than it would to be running into that pole.
Still hold.
I know they mentioned that, just might be something we need to try.
I missed that. What poles, what field is it inside the
Well,
field?
there's actually two right in between it's field one and field two, is what they call them. But the other one was a little more in line with the fence. These are just out a little. So it's not a fence. You wouldn't be hitting a fence, you'd be hitting a pole. Just they
What,
kind of,
did anybody
I know
else?
Little League mentioned them as the only reason I was.
yeah, well, we talked about it when we said them.
Little League
What is the
mentioned,
committee's feeling on it? You think we ought to put some kind of little fence up like he's talking about around it? Let's leave that up to Cliff or the Little League.
I gotta go get some fence materials in Lebanon for this exit we're putting at the convenience center. I'll just pick up the road fence, post, a little gate, we'll fix it. It ain't that big a deal.
Sounds good.
And I think we maybe reach out to the Little League just in the future and ask if they're having any issues with it, and, you know, if so, we can reassess what we need to do.
I got one other thing under the parks is our camera system. Any updates on it? Any updates on our camera?
Yes, sir. They've been in there today. My maintenance guy was over there with them until 5 o'clock. He pulled in the gate the same time we did. They're doing the roof in over there, getting the server set up. There's no direct internet in the bathrooms or in that janitor's closet. So they're gonna try to run an antenna from the pool down to that, and see if we've got enough service to run it like they're wanting to. If not, we may have to go back and put fiber in that building. I don't think it would be that big of a deal. He's asked me about it once before, and I've dropped the ball. I just forgot to ask Tri-County about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I forgot. So I'm gonna reach out to them and see if they can do it, and if they can't, we'll just have to make that antenna work. I'm pretty sure it will, because that pool is non-dedicated to, there's nothing up there but a phone, like a regular office phone. The Wi-Fi up there runs off of the little free ones that Tri-County's put up throughout the park. So, I mean, it should more than suffice for what we're needing to do. I feel good about it now. It may bite me, but I feel good about it.
So talk about putting an access point in where the server's gonna go and let it pull its packets off of the one router that's at the pool.
Yeah. It's 150 feet.
Oh, yeah.
If we have to, we can run a wire. But they're in motion. The cameras are coming in. Like I said, he worked on it all day, and I hadn't been over to see because we was, again, working on the truck. I'll know more about it next time. I should have stopped and talked to Danny and see what all got caught up. We were just anxious to get home and get a shower.
Understood.
We
The
both,
as I say, the only concern that they would have might be the bandwidth on their access point. Depending on how many cameras are gonna be streamed to the server.
well, those two big ones are going to draw, I would say. One of them's a 24 megapixel camera. It's a big
Good
camera.
lord, yeah, that's gonna take a lot of bandwidth.
And then we've got 20 more throughout the park. Plus, we're gonna, we laid the groundwork. I guess I better tell you this. We went ahead and laid the groundwork for cameras to be put into the ball field areas. 2 of the upper end cameras, like what we're doing right now. So from that bathroom, eventually we'll wind up having to put fiber in.
Yeah, you're gonna need one.
Because we ran conduit from that bathroom all the way around, down to the T-ball field, behind the skate park, crossed over the road, right there between field 2 and 3. And then we hit 2 of the new poles. I talked to Mr. Sloan about it. He was fine with us, running power 35 feet up and an access point for the cameras 35 feet up. There's a port up there that we can drill a hole in and weatherproof. We can't tamper with the poles, but we can tamper with the plate enough to get what we need out of it. So we went ahead and did enough to do 2 cameras over there. One of them will be accessing the parking lot, skate park, the big pavilion, the T-ball field. And then the other camera will do the concession stands and the other ball fields and the parking lots.
So what would it cost us to go in and install those cameras now?
I'll have to get a price from Mr. Hussey. He talked to me about it, and I told him, you know, we had all this, we had the trencher rented. We had to buy, quite a bit of pipe to run it. We just took the cheaper route. I mean, it's 1.5-inch pipe. We didn't run it in conduit, we just ran it in black water pipe. So, I mean, he said, as long as it's in the ground, it'll work. We pulled the string, we ran the 110 up, you know, we buried all the electrical, got it up the pole. None of it's terminated in the breaker box or anything like that. It's just folded over and closed, locked up in the boxes. So we're ready for that. I'll just have to get a price from it. You know, we need to pick what we want, and I'd like to get 2 of those 360s over there, 2 of those 24 megapixel 360s over there. That should take care of that end of the walk track and everything. I think we'll be in real good shape with those.
It's a good move. Thank you for making that choice to forward think that
That's a
option.
great idea.
Mhm.
Has it been any more damage or anything done since the last time? I mean, nobody's been over destroying?
They've been over. We had a lady call and complain about her little boy went and knocked on the bathroom door to try to get in. And I got the video and I gave it to Wendy. There's not a lot we can do. They cussed the little boy, and the lady came over and knocked on the door, and 9 kids came out of that middle bathroom. 9 kids. I need to get you a video. But they rolled out, and there's a couple of them that got in the lady's face and pointed their finger at her and stuff like that. But just being disrespectful, and there's not a law against that.
All righty, that's all I see under the, anybody else any questions on that? Parks and ball field. I would like to get an update. Mayor, can you give us an update on the playground, the Trey Park, where y'all,
Well, we scored the 3, we only had 3 proposals. One we were expecting we didn't get. Cliff and John Parker and I and Amy scored the scoring system. Then you turn it back over to Kimley Horn. Then they go before TDEC, don't they, Cliff, and that has to make the final approval?
Yes.
You're welcome to look through the ones that we, playground books look like.
yeah, the books here in front of, that's what these books are here, if
I
y'all.
think we have to.
Those 2 in the spiral bound are actually got pictures in them for what the Trousdale County Park could look like. There's a couple of things in there that we talked about. Maggie came up from Cunningham in Nashville and spent about an hour with me and the parks guy, Joe. We went through these books and looked at a lot of the playground equipment. We had this catalog. We didn't have what y'all have on those spirals at the time. And we talked, she just kind of asked a bunch of questions about what we would want. You know, we wanted all-inclusive on the lower level. So the lower level of the playground equipment will have ramps, and then as it goes up to the 2nd and 3rd level of different areas, of course, it has to be steps and stairs. But an inclusive merry-go-round. We talked about, there's a couple of swings in there that I've had a couple of parents ask me about. Let me turn around and just say, here. So this swing here, and I brought it up a couple of years ago, but our stuff wouldn't hold it. See this swing? It'll hold a mother and a child, and then they've got one that'll hold 2 children. This is one of the inclusive pieces of equipment. Then you can see this one here, how it's ramped up to the lower level, where this is all inclusive on the lower level. And I think almost all the equipment was like that in here. Lower level, inclusive. You can see the merry-go-round here. It's not called a we-go-round, I don't think, in this particular book. I think it was somebody else that was pushing that. It's a different name everywhere you go, it's something different. Yeah. They asked about music, and it's not like music like what we're thinking. music-making instruments like these here, have little drums or little horn, not really something you put your mouth on, just different types of stuff, you know, to make, for the kids to make noise. And the fence is gonna be a big deal, we're gonna have to make some decisions on the fence. Because everything that's there now has to come out.
Hopefully the camera can pick it up.
We've not got that close.
Can the camera pick that up?
Most of it came in right in the million dollars.
Yeah, the renders look great.
Amy said we probably need to make some provision in case we had a cost overrun.
Oh,
They tried to incorporate, and
roughly 1.2 million, now they're all allocated to.
yeah, I saw they tried to put a lot of purple and gold on this, but it's the wrong purple and the wrong gold. Their colors are probably not gonna match. And, you know, it's not school, it's not a school-oriented park, it's kind of a county thing. So if y'all don't want purple and gold, which I don't know if they'll be able to match the colors that we're wanting anyway, I'm afraid when it gets here, if it's the wrong color, we're gonna be stuck with it. So maybe, we may wanna mix it up a different way.
And Cliff, they're saying probably ready next spring, not this spring.
Yeah, we're a year out. I mean, it's, even once, if we pulled the trigger today, it'd take a long time to make the equipment.
So where do we stand on the equipment down there now that's been fenced off, and are we gonna repair it or just leave it like it is, so we can get this thing updated, or?
It cost probably $80,000 to repair it. You know, at one time, and I thought Tammy at Miracle, we didn't get anything from Miracle this time. And I really thought she would have sent us something. You know, when we first started talking about that damaged piece of equipment, she had some stuff that would interchange with it coming from a park in Louisville somewhere. It was at a assisted living. They had a big playground area, and some of the stuff had started to mold. And, you know, we could have bleached it and cleaned it up. She actually offered to do that and get it to us, but that just fell through. I don't know if the people in Louisville changed their mind and decided they didn't want to pay to have it all changed out, or if it was a warranty and.
But the equipment down there, I mean, the playground equipment now, that was from Miracle, or?
All of that down there is Miracle.
Miracle,
Yes,
yes, what I
every bit
thought,
of it's
yeah.
Miracle. And like I said, I was really surprised that we didn't get anything from those guys, but.
So was there any mention, Mayor, I don't think I'm seeing these renderings that I know we had discussed that I'm not necessarily seeing here. I see some shade areas, but we had discussed those UV protectors over the equipment because it would let that equipment last a lot longer. I noticed a lot of it, like the large tower areas here, don't necessarily show that UV protector or any type of screen across the top of it. We discussed those in some of the original pieces to protect what, I think you said it was Tammy, right? Tammy told us that UV was what was killing us.
Absolutely.
Deterioration of that, of our equipment. So I would like us to see if there's a way to, it aids in two things. It's gonna keep it a little cooler, as well as protect that investment that we're putting in. I would wonder if we could see what it might cost us to, at least over these main large areas, to cover that in those. I don't know the exact term. I can't remember that today. Somebody was with us.
UV sunshade.
Maybe that's exactly what it, I don't know. I don't know the term. I know what it looks like. I know what I'm talking about when I say it, but any Corps of Engineers park you go to, every one of theirs is gonna be fully covered that way. That are new built. So I think it would be might be a good piece of protection for our investment. It's like insurance on your investment. When you replace that screen, it may not be an option for us, but it might be good to look into that piece. When you put 1.2 million into it, you wanna make it last.
All righty, that, anything else on that?
I mean, the shades are anywhere from 6 to 20 grand. It's gonna eat into your play equipment budget quite a bit. That stuff down there is 20, how old is it now? 97, is that right? 22 years. And it is fading, I mean, it is fading.
As the
And jobs
coating
come.
on it cracks, it's letting water in there, which is causing the undermining rust underneath it. And it's cracking because the stuff's drying out, because that's the first thing that just, the sun does, is it dries out the rubber coating that's on there.
All right, let's move on. That wasn't on our agenda. I just wanted to get an update on it. I knew that they'd met and done a vote on that. And so when will Kimberly Horn get the scores on that from y'all, or when?
We've been seeing,
Yeah.
and then,
There's some of them on spring break, some of the ladies are out, some of the people are on vacation. This lady came in from vacation just to take care of this scoring the other day. So we're, it's moving,
Okay,
it's in motion.
all right, let's move on. Do we,
When do we expect to get an answer from TDEC on who gets it?
Wheels of government, Mr. Gregory.
Say no more.
all righty, let's move on to the other, oh, no, wait a minute, 2, pool season. We're about to skip the pool.
Well, y'all got your list, I think everybody got one of the become a lifeguard for hiring. Right now, we've got the manager application, we've got an assistant manager application, we've got a lifeguard application. That's all we've got right now. The assistant manager application. She worked with us last year. I think she's still got another year's certification. I'd like to keep her in lifeguard. She'd be good in either one, but it just depends on how we run up the certification and lifeguards. The problem we're gonna have again this year is gonna be the same as last year. We're not gonna have these people hired and trained and have their certifications before it's time for the pool to open. The certification classes are filling up. I don't know how much it's gonna be this year. I'm sure it's gonna probably be the same. In front of you, you've got what you asked for in the last meeting, all the prices, what we spent, what it cost to do it. So I'm just telling you, we're doing everything we can. These flyers are at the school. I've seen it on Facebook on a couple of places. My wife has, I haven't seen it myself. I don't know Facebook much.
Have we reached out to all the employees we had last year?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I know some of them are coming back. Some of them said they were coming back, but there's a couple of the kids that thought they were gonna make more money by going to Galveston, but if we raise that pay, it's competitive now. I don't know whether they'll come back in or not, but I'm hoping they do.
It'd be beneficial to us to reach out and say, hey, you worked with us last year, here's what our pay's gonna be now. Whenever we get this, put in and say, hey, are you willing to come put in an application and stay with us? I think it'd be to our best benefit. We've already invested in them to, their another years of lifeguard certification. It'd be to our benefit to try to reach out and say, hey, we're at this number now. Is that competitive enough? You can come work with us.
Okay.
You're in town.
Also, while we're on that, you said you had some teachers that would be interested in the job. We can get them to fill out an application. We've done some checking on that double dipping. And if they're not scheduled to work at the school and they can work for us, it's not considered double dipping. So we'll be able to do that if you can get as many of them as you promised.
Good deal.
20, I think is what you said.
I don't think I said that. I like your move there, though. Good move. We'll keep trying, I promise.
Only 2 or 3 was the actual.
I think that's exactly right, it was actually.
Does anybody know
I
any
keep
other
trying.
ways that we can promote this lifeguard? They are trying to get the word out besides what he's done so far. I mean,
We're paying the best. I mean, we talked about raising the rates a little bit and stuff, but we're paying the best. We're doing everything we can right. And we're trying to save money by cutting that cooked food out. That'll save us a lot of money.
Do you have a pretty good idea who your manager will be?
So far, all we've got is Katie Turner, and, she worked at the pool for a few years out of high school, so she knows the ropes anyway.
so she has put an application, or
Yes, sir.
Would she be willing to help us recruit a little bit? Because knowing who you're gonna work for also helps.
Oh, yeah. What we're gonna try to do is, need to do it as soon as possible. I don't wanna get her on the payroll just right now, but I'd like to get her soon and let her start promoting it a little bit. She can take some more stuff out to the schools. You know, they'll let her in a school a lot easier than they will me. She can go out and talk to some of the kids. Maybe we can get things going. You know, a lot of them still know Katie. I think if she goes out there and spends a little time with them, she's liable to pull in what we need.
Yeah, I think she could be an asset to us in that aspect. So, in your numbers you're talking about here, what we're looking at tonight, are you comfortable with these numbers? So the 44,912 that you're saying would, that number you feel comfortable with, for the budget, we feel good there, and that will cover the employees we need?
Yes, sir. This is Amy's handiwork.
You feel comfortable with the hours and the prices we move things to?
Yeah, the hours, they only work on 28 hours a pay period now.
Because of part-time, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so it's gonna eat into them. You know, we had them last year getting overtime.
Yes, sir.
It's part-time, but it's also temporary, so I don't know if that's a loophole there because it's only for such a short time.
Yes.
You know, they need to be making 36 hours a week for a serious amount of time before they would be considered full-time. You know, if we just did it, let them have overtime once a week, every other check or something like that, that may benefit. I don't know.
Maybe there is a loophole there,
I'll talk to HR and see.
that's a good idea. But you feel comfortable with the way this is presented right now?
Yes, sir.
I'd be comfortable then in making a motion that we approve this, or send it forward, we leave it, out of Public Works, send this forward with a favorable recommendation, and I'll put that forward in the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion on it?
That's to recommend the salary component.
The entire pool proposal at this point, which is the salary, the hours, its cost estimates from,
Supplies.
purchasing local. So entirely where we had our discussion on the pool, if you feel comfortable with these pieces, I'd like to put them up for the pool.
Yes,
Does
thank you.
everybody understand the motion he's made? Now I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Was it one no? Motion carried.
No, I discussed last month, and what do you know, I still say I would like to adjust the pool hours, but I think it was kind of apparent last month, it wasn't gonna go anywhere, so.
Motion carries on it. Is anything on here about the food? You was gonna check on the microwave or some kind of deal, or? Food, you probably just,
Not yet, I'm sorry.
all righty, is anything else?
In terms of pool, do we need to go on and try to,
Oh,
can we book X amount of seats in a lifeguard training at this point, or is that not available till we have names to put in that hat?
Yeah, they gotta have names, they gotta have CPR certification before they leave Texas. So we gotta get them online, get that done.
we need to get that done. I mean, we gotta get the ball rolling on
Is
this. I mean, you just got one lifeguard application so far? Mr. Taylor?
Would it help if we got Cheese to start plugging this on the radio regularly?
That many of our kids are listening.
No, but the people that are hearing it can tell the kids.
Every little bit we can get it out there, what
That's
else?
what would help for sure. I think we gotta get to our high school. That's what we gotta get. We gotta get somebody, like we said, Katie, if she's gonna be that person. I think it really will help if somebody knows who they're gonna be working for. That gives the next step up. I've heard some of those mentions.
I'll talk to Katie and let her start kicking it around on the internet, social media. And then we'll wait, I'd like to wait at least a couple more weeks. I mean, we're gonna start draining, we gotta start cleaning the pool next first of the month. See any problems we need to get repaired while the water's down and, get it pressure washed and filled back up. I like to run it for at least 2 weeks. And that's in the month before we open, just to make sure we got the chemical balance right, everything's right. We can't treat it in 2 or 3 days and then turn kids into it. It's gotta be running. And that takes a while to just get it up and running.
I got a stupid question. Is there anybody in this county that you know of that's got some sort of a big social media following, some influencer of sort, a more popular person that we could coerce and then just blasting it all over their feeds so that it actually reaches a lot of people in that age demographic.
I don't think that.
Don't know that in this area.
Positively.
The guy right here probably has
Positively
as
food.
big a followers as anybody.
Well, I'll definitely, I took pictures of this, I was gonna send cheese, and, I'll give it Katie every week.
Get the
I'll
word
help any way I can.
You're gonna reach that age group through this faster than anything, so if you can just wear them out.
And Katie may be on stuff other than Facebook. I know Facebook's for us old.
Yeah, they're on TikTok and
I know,
Instagram.
but Katie, probably, but I can handle Facebook if she can handle TikTok and rest of these.
yeah, we just gotta wear them out.
I think when you put an individual in that position and they start calling some of those names, it'll help out in that piece.
Any of your teachers you're talking about are interested in doing this, or like, do you know for sure, is any of them interested in helping be an assistant manager or doing anything?
I think there's some chances that they might be. I think some of the ones I've talked to have actually worked for us before as
That's what I'm
lifeguards.
saying, maybe if they're still interested, let them really get the word out too. I mean,
I think there's opportunities that we can, unfortunately, my teachers are a little young, I have the kids that are a little young, they're not gonna hit the 15-year age mark. That'd be the negative. We'll have to get those kids that are at the high school, teachers that are at the high school. I'm sure there's a way we can push some of those things. Once we have set numbers and set pieces, I think it'll be easier.
and it's getting late, but we still got a few more to go. Anything else on the pool? So we need to have a meeting within probably 2 weeks or 3 just to keep the ball rolling on this. All right, and move on to D, other. First thing on the other is budget.
Well, it's just that time, you know, things are coming up. We've got several things on the budget this year. While we've ran a couple of loads in, what we do at the convenience center, y'all been in there and seen the dumpsters on the wall. Those, when they get full, we take a backhoe and mash them down. And we do that several times. We get the tonnage rate up. I'm not sure exactly what it is. We ran 2, I think, this week that have not been mashed down. So we'll get the weights on those, and then we'll have some weights on the ones we mash down and keep mashed down. We did it this week because the backhoe's been tore up. It's a 96 model backhoe. It's got between 7,000 and 8,000 hours on it. It's on its second motor. I went to Detroit and picked the motor up for it, and we put that in 5 or 6 years ago. It's on its second front axle. Transmission's out. It's had it. So we're pricing some used equipment versus new equipment just to see the hours and what they're worth. The skid steer out at the recycling center is in bad shape. We're gonna try to get a newer used one for them. It's a 2006 model, but it was owned previously by North Central Recycling. The guys that ran the recycling center before I got it, and it was just neglected. It's been neglected all its life. It's in terrible shape. I can't be without it any amount of time. What I'd like to do, we've been borrowing the water department ever since we started in the ball fields over there. What I'd like to do is get those guys out there something a little more dependable, and then bring that one into town. Get it taken down to CAT, get some repairs made on it to where we can just keep it here in town and do what we need to do. There's several projects around town. We need to be in the courtyards, fixing around the bell tower. We could have used it over here in the ball fields. I mean, we need it pretty regularly here in town. It's not a daily use, but it is quite a bit of use. I don't really want to sell it or trade it. I'd like to fix it and keep it and use it, because it'll do us for quite a while here in town, no more than we'll use it. I've got a roll-off truck that's getting up in years. It's a 2012 model. It's got several 100,000 miles on it now. A transmission in it has been acting up since the day we got it. I bet there's been 20 times in the past 2 weeks, we've had to take the top plate off of it and adjust the shifter because it gets hung in between gears all the time. And it does it at the worst possible time. It'll do it at a red light, it'll do it in the middle of the landfill, or just any time. It's very inconvenient. That seems to be when it does it. We got some pickups that are failing. We've always bought used equipment from surplus down there in Nashville. They went to Gov Deals on selling all their stuff, so we don't get the prices we used to get. So we're gonna probably get another new pickup put in the budget and hope for that. There's some little things, nothing, anything else is big that's sticking out to me. The city truck that runs around town picking up the garbage, I'm gonna try to get 2 more years out of it. It's still in good shape. The damper on the front is leaking oil real bad. Sooner or later, we'll have to take it to Mac and get it fixed. We've got a truck that we can use backup, but I don't have employees to ride the back of it and dump the cans like we used to right now, so we can't, it's just not a good time to do it right now. That's budget. That's a lot. I know it's a lot, but, you know, we run as tight as we can.
I mean, you've run as tight as you can for years. I mean, it's
It's gaining on us. We're gonna start needing some equipment.
so what are you thinking you might be putting in for the budget this year on new equipment?
The Bobcat, and I've got some used prices on them. They're $55,000 a piece with the case. I had to go to Bobcat today because they're the brush bandit chipper guys in this area, and I need some chipper blade. So while I was in there, I talked to sales and told them about what I was looking for. Both of them are members of Sourcewell, so we wouldn't have to necessarily bid it out, but I still want to get quotes from other people. I just don't want to take his bid or quote and buy the equipment. We did that with the garbage truck simply because we was promised a garbage truck a year earlier than any other manufacturers when we went with this Pete and the High Body. So I've got Case working on that and Bobcat working on that for those two. As far as the backhoe goes, Case has always been real good to us. They're the cheaper of the machinery as far as somebody local that actually works on them and stuff like that, dealer wise. So we'd like to go with the Case if we could. We're a year, maybe 18 months out on a Western Star roll-off truck. If we ordered it today, it'd be a year before we would see the truck. That's how far behind they are. And then a pickup, we need another pickup. I've got some that are failing.
Are you better off with going with a backhoe, or are you better off with going with a rubber tracked mini X of some type?
Well, we wouldn't be able to get around. I mean, a lot of times we'll get on it and bring it to the park and do some work. We did the work down here at the courthouse on the bell tower with the backhoe. We're all over town with it. A lot of times we're at the convenience center too.
That could be a pickup and a trailer to move it easily as well. I'm just asking you what's better for you.
A backhoe, because we use the front loader as much as the digger on that, so it's definitely a backhoe. Tommy at the McFarland at the water department's been real gracious. He's loaned us a Bobcat. We're borrowing his backup backhoe right now to keep stuff down at the convenience center. We can borrow any piece of equipment he's got, you know, he's real good about loaning it to us. But there's times like this week, we had a pretty day, we could have used the Bobcat, they needed it, so, you know, there's just times we need equipment too to keep doing what we want to do here in the county.
It's the highway, the Bill and them out here at the highway department, they don't have no backup or stuff you could use.
No, Bill's got that one cat backhoe's all he's got. He's got his old one, he's got a backup, but we try not to borrow their stuff.
It takes equipment to run things, that's for sure.
And he's, like I said, he's went by, he scrapes by, I mean, every year, it seems like they're trying to get by with what he's got, old equipment and stuff.
Woody bought that backhoe, it was a 96, and Bobby Sanford went off Waverly somewhere and bought it, and come back with it, it was wore out when he got it. Like I said, we've already put a motor in it, and the front end, I had to go to Pennsylvania and get the front axle for it. I wouldn't say I had to, but the motor, there was no guarantee on the core, so I wanted to take my motor up there, because I wasn't gonna pay $5,000 core, you know, I wanted them to see it. Instead of shipping me mine and me shipping them, they said, oh, that ain't no good, that's junk. I didn't wanna do that, I couldn't risk $5,000, so. Little things like that I try to do, you know, y'all know, I try to save a little bit of money when I can.
Guys, is anything else we need, oh,
I
Mr. Taylor?
gotta ask a crazy question. This is just a question. Is there a point where, going to an implement lease program where you can, all the major repairs and things are covered under a lease, and you turn the thing in every 36 months and get something different? Because if you take a look at how much you're shelling out on repairs,
Well,
I know a lot of GCs go that route instead of.
yeah, we're doing that because, you know, we've never had another piece of equipment. Like I said, everything we've ever had has been used up until we started getting these garbage trucks. 2012, 2013, 2005 is actually the first time this county's ever bought a brand new garbage truck, to my knowledge. They always bought City of New York stuff. They keep them for 5 or 10 years and ship it to Chicago and have it repainted and the motor gone through and just touched up, and then Woody buy it for pennies on the dollar. We'd have to walk on beside them, pouring oil in them and water and everything else, because they just don't last. They're not that dependable. We've never had new equipment. That never. I think they bought a new red door in 95 or 96, that new roll-off truck. It probably wasn't a month old. Somebody started it in reverse and it ran through the building and tore the driver's door off of it. So, I mean, that as far as I know, that's the only one that's ever been bought new back, that far back. And we still got it. It's
I was curious if there might be an implement lease program.
Yeah, I can check.
On a few things that might, because if you take a look at your fixed expenses on repairs, maintenance, and all that sort of stuff, when there is big ticket, whether it be a hydraulic issue or something like that, if it's under a lease and it's in, that's something you don't have to shoulder.
Yeah, the landfill, John Boy's gone to a lot of lease on his equipment. His roll-off trucks are leased right now just because he can't buy one. They're on hold.
Understood, yeah.
He's got orders in, he just can't get them, so he's got them leased. We tried to lease a front loader truck from Premier in Ohio, and we've got an account set up with them, and we're supposedly on the list, but they've never called me and said they had a truck in stock they can ship down here, so we're just gonna try to keep using this one and doing what we can till that new one gets here.
I mean, that's a good point, though, maybe it's something we can check into in the future.
You heard from the new one anymore?
No, May,
Like,
that's I heard May. I got a small item in urban services. There's if you go out to the end of industrial and take a left, as soon as you turn left and come down that way, about 100 yards from the city limit sign, there's a guy there's got a house. He's wanting to know if we could set a trash can and just put him on the water bill and start dumping his trash for him. I mean, he can spit on the city limit sign where he's at, so I told him I'd bring it up. You know, it's not like he's way out in the county or a long way from city limits. We go by there twice a week, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so.
That's something that needs to be in front of this committee here, or, I guess it is, it's trash.
I appreciate you bringing it up, and I know someone's asked you to, but I think you're stepping into a pot right there when you take a chance, because there's gonna be others that'll be like, well, you're doing this one, hey, I want it to, so I'd say be very cautious in moving outside the city limits of what we're trying to do, because when you make that choice, then we're opening up the door to others, and it's hard to say, well, you gotta be 10 feet from it, or 100 feet from it. That's a very slippery slope opportunity.
Well, it's been discussed over the past few years, trying to expand the urban service area, but it's really nothing been really explored or went any further than just discussing, I mean, on it.
That's where I was gonna go next. What's the options there of actually expanding? It has been discussed, but it's never been,
Yes, it's been discussed, I'm saying several years, but I mean, nothing has ever really took hold. All right.
have to look into where the proper place is.
So I say we need to hold off on, y'all have any more comments on what, besides what Landon said here on what he's talking, what he said?
I think Landon's dead on. I mean, we want to help our people, obviously, but like I said, you know, we do one, we're gonna have 10 next week come in asking the same thing, and you tell one yes, how do you tell the others no?
Especially when urban services is already paying a different tax.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Anybody else got any comments in related to that? I'm sort of in agreement with them on that too. I mean, that's,
Oh, I had to bring
It's
it
tough.
up.
I appreciate you bringing it up.
yeah.
I appreciate you bringing it up. You have a member ask you, to bring it to us, and I appreciate that.
That's something.
Look at extent.
We have discussed, like I said, over the years, discussed the urban services area expanding. Is that something, I mean, we need to try to explore that more, or what's our next step on
Probably
it?
need to explore it, but that's kind of a few items we look for, that they need to look into.
I know it's been discussed past several years, but like I said, as far as this went, just sort of discussion talk on it.
That way, like a subcommittee.
We move that up, we'll have to move that new truck up. So this one, I mean, it's running what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that ain't something that's gonna happen overnight, expanding, I mean,
Or do we consider maybe something like setting like a particular, you know, like I said, the people in the urban services pay a, you know, higher tax? Do we look at, like, if you want that kind of service, maybe not higher tax, but you pay some kind of fee?
Be interesting to look into.
that's something we can, I mean, mayors, I mean, it's been brought from him, we can explore.
We had that Caldwell Environmental Services, that lady was set up to come do some stuff for us, but she couldn't respond for some reason. We were gonna pay her that $5,000 to do a assessment on the county and help us get some of the stuff on Gov Deals, which I've still got to do. I mean, that's another thing, we need to bounce back to the ball field line. I've got all those in storage at my recycling center. Do y'all wanna try to put those up for sale, or anybody need the horse barn lit up? Or you want them trashed?
I know when we originally talked about them, when the football field was changed over, he got it over, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the range of $100 a light, picture out of those when he sold them. So I think it would be something that we might need to, look into.
It doesn't cost you anything to try.
That's exactly right, yes. Put them on Gov Deals, is that what we have to go through?
Yeah,
pretty
we'll
much?
have to do that,
Yep. So,
but it'll need to be pushed through court to have them surplus.
so,
Amy's working on
okay,
That's something to be brought from she's working on getting us
it.
up.
Yes.
we'll move into surplus and then have them put on Gov Deals for
So
sold.
provided that's what y'all want to do, she's gonna work on it.
I wanna back up, but we mentioned something about controlling the lights.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too. I forgot.
I'm done, whatever y'all want to do, I don't care.
And we actually talked today, I don't know, of course, if they're not on, it's not costing anything. If they're on and nobody's using it, it's costing you. We was just discussing, it wouldn't be that hard to separate the T-ball field. You know, all of them could be turned on and you can cut the T-ball field off. That's something that, it wouldn't be that hard to do to the T-ball field, the way it's laid out. I don't know how much these LEDs are supposed to save. When we had them on today,
Y'all
it
gonna
made them
separate it,
roll.
y'all gonna separate it at that box right there at the road?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we could there, or even the first, where it goes to.
That'd be a big advantage. I could see a huge advantage to that.
But all of them would have to be on, and that would have to be on for it to be on. So,
But you could turn it off and the rest of them still be on.
and then the whole deal, if you wanted, figuring out some way to keep them from being on.
Well, you got the guy at security over there, maybe Don't he stay there at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Maybe when he leaves?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a rainy day like today, he'll probably go home early.
I mean, he can
Nobody
go,
there to see it.
make sure they turn it off, but I mean, I ain't gonna keep nobody from going in after he leaves and turn them right back on.
Well, we're looking at some measures. When we get this new park equipment, we really need to look into securing the upper end of that area. I don't, cameras there or not, I don't want anybody in there in the middle of the night tearing this stuff up. It's too vague. You know, when they built the first park, people cared about stuff and they didn't get tore up, but
You can keep people out there.
cannot do it.
And so,
That's another thing. I've got people living up there. They're gone, they spend the night, they're gone in the morning, and they're probably back up there now. One of them is a married couple with some kids. I think one of the kids is in school. Maybe two of the kids are in school. She works at the prison. He plays a video game. And there's another guy, he sleeps in his car up there. He's there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. When I make a pass up through there, when I make my first pass, he's there. And he's gone by 8. He's usually gone by 7:30. But he's not bothering anything. He sleeps in his car.
Is the other people sleeping in the car too, you was talking about?
yes. In reference to the new park equipment up there and securing it with the infrastructure you've added to expand the cameras and stuff, it wouldn't hurt us when that is finished, to put some LPRs in up there, if there is some vandalism, to not only capture the people, but also to capture the registration of the vehicle.
Those can be placed at the pool because everybody turns around in one of those spots. It goes
But
back out.
LPRs are, that's irrefutable evidence. I mean, yeah, you can say that ain't me, or, you know, I didn't do nothing. But if you've got a vehicle registration that places you there at the time and place, I'm sorry, but it's you.
I talked to Stanley Holder about putting an entrance gate right off of Main Street, and he shot that down pretty quick because he said they had a truck coming in the middle of the night. But he was not opposed to the idea of maybe putting a gate further closer to the park. So I'm gonna go back and revisit him on that. Because, you know, we're putting a lot of money in Trey Park and it needs to be protected. So I'll go back and revisit him on that.
Yeah, even if it got where the road narrows there at the radio station, that would still protect our park area.
If we had a magnetic reader there and all Stanley people had keys or, you know, a card to get in and out, and all those gates anymore, they have a designated name or number to each card. I mean, when you're issued something, it's got, we know who's doing what, so if somebody's in there and something gets tore up between that and the LPRs. But he's got a lot of guys that come in early in the mornings to get feed too. I mean, I see his trucks in and down there early, so he is gonna need access. That whole side of the road is his, you know.
But that would help us a lot if we could just get one up there, I mean.
You know, they don't use that bay at the far end, in the middle of the night, but usually when they come in early, that first door that they get the feet out of, if you put a little bit beyond that, and let his folks have access, it wouldn't be a problem, because they can get from about 6 or 7 in the morning.
Yeah, we could start them at the basketball courts, and I'd wrap that up.
And keep people from going, possibly getting into senior center. Keep them off the basket.
Guys,
All night.
it's almost 8:45. We've been here for a while. Has anybody else got anything we need to bring up? I'm sort of getting past my bedtime. We do need to look at maybe scheduling another meeting. Okay, Mr. Green.
I don't know if this is the right place to bring this up, but since we're the successor to county buildings, sites for the proposed new jail, you know, the previous administration had a subcommittee of the mayor, the commission chair, and the sheriff to look at potential sites. Of course, the two of those are no longer in office, so have we made any progress on trying to identify a site, or is that discussion need to be held at a different committee?
I have no answer on that. Do you have any answer for that, Mayor?
What's the question?
Sorry, I said the
Where you gonna build your jail?
previous administration had a subcommittee of the mayor, the commission chair, and the sheriff to look at identifying potential jail sites with the idea of making a recommendation to the commission. Yeah, two of those three are no longer in office. So I guess, where do we stand on trying to identify sites and does that need to, let's say with us being county buildings, that need us, law
We were
enforcement?
at Wilson County Jail this morning, for a couple of hours. We are looking at potential sites, but at this point, we haven't contacted any owners. I guess that was something we need to wait for the work session to talk about. We haven't specifically identified the site to purchase or maybe signed any documents or anything.
Okay.
Still exploring.
Okay.
The committee right now would consist of me and Sheriff Russell and Shane Burton and I don't really have a name to the other two. That's who's looking right now. Because we did the mayor and chairman of the court and all of our activities as far as the court. But yeah, about a committee of 5 is what we're going. One thing we did do that wasn't done earlier is we had that session where we brought all the players in, which was about a month ago, I guess. And we'll be using that larger committee more than we did back earlier. But the final decision on who those 4 or 5 will be is coming up as we get closer to identifying some land. We're right in the very early stages of see if some sites will be large enough or work for us. So I really can't say anything else about it right now, because if we say too much, then potential landowners will
Absolutely.
get price up, and so we're just kind of cautious about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to talk. Any particular site, I guess I'm just asking, where are we in identifying possible sites?
But I can tell you, we're seeing potential parcels have been sent to Spirit architecture firm for them to let us know if the size jail we need would work on those particular parcels. So, yeah, we're moving forward.
Okay, that answers my question, thank you.
So that committee, or that meeting y'all had, figured out what size jail we do need yet, or?
Well, we're still talking about 150 beds, but we may be more moving back toward 125 possibly, depending on whether the sites will work or not.
So that's jail, that's gonna go with that committee there instead of the building committee, or this committee here, since it's over buildings now, or is this, what committee is it?
I think once it's built, we'll be dealing with it.
Okay. So the committee you talking about, you and Ray's
And
going,
ultimately, the commission will make the
Yeah.
decision. Correct.
Yeah.
We continue to gather information and bring it. As a matter of fact, one of the things they discussed today was tabletops. And the fact that stainless steel will last for years and years and years, and that you can save money by going to painted surfaces, but they won't last long. And there are a bunch of intricate decisions that have to be made along the way.
What's best for
But all that'll come around. I see Spirit coming back with some pretty hard numbers pretty soon as to what we can do. So I'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
guys, that's all I've got. Anything else? Besides, we need to set another meeting date.
What about Thursday, March 30th? That puts 3 weeks from tonight. Gives us a chance to.
I just know it's hard for Mr. Presley. He works on Thursday night. Yeah.
I'm good with Wednesday night, that 29th. I don't know if Wednesdays are good with the committee.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it, that's fine.
Wednesday the 29th? Gives us roughly 3 weeks.
Going, March the 29th on a Wednesday at 6 o'clock here. 7, 7's fine, maybe better probably. Let's make our next meeting for March the 29th here at the community center at 7 o'clock. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Sounds good.
And now, last I got is public comment. Did you have anything to say, Mr. or Barry?
Pat, you got anything to say? I'm good. Good
But I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn by Gully, second by Presley. Thank y'all.